Working safely around trail stock. Defensive Horsemanship Guidelines. Prepared by Backcountry Horsemen of Washington. Horsemanship means anything related to equestrians. Equestrian describes anyone involved in the training and working with horses and mules. Some prefer simpler terms such as rider, horseman, or stockman. In this presentation, horsemen and stockmen are not gender specific. Horsemen and stockmen are both men and women. Trail stock is not species specific. Horses, mules, and donkeys are all trail stock. The greatest need for inexperienced workers around trail stock is a few simple instructions on the safe handling of horses and mules. The first rule to remember when working around trail stock is, reactions by stock when concerned is unpredictable. Trail stock's concern can result in injury to anyone working around them. Even an experienced stockman cannot always anticipate a trail animal's physical response when they are concerned. Therefore, safety precautions must be adhered to when working around trail stock. It is the responsibility of stockmen to monitor workers around stock for safe practices. Additionally, stockmen are obligated by present federal regulations to instruct Forest Service personnel and volunteers on the safe practices to be used while working around trail stock. Backcountry Horsemen of Washington have many very good stockmen, and it is natural that some safety practices are second nature for them in their everyday experience with trail animals. However, inexperienced people working around trail stock may not be familiar with common sense safety practices that should be employed when around horses and mules. Novices working around trail stock must be instructed by the stockman about the basics of horsemanship. Some safety practices may not be in full agreement with all stockmen. In horsemanship, there are often several ways to accomplish the same objective. The goal of defensive stock safety is to use and demand safe practices when trail stock is employed around inexperienced workers. Constant attention to the characteristics of horses and mules is required when working around trail stock. The key to understanding their instinctive behavior is to understand how they respond to external stimuli in their surroundings. They are very perceptive. They had to be to survive in the wild. Horses and mules are creatures of primitive instincts. When working around them, you are not dealing with problem-solving intelligence, but are experiencing 60 million years of evolutionary instincts. They have an inborn memory for survival of the species. When confronted with fearful situations, their first reaction is flight. Flight is the primary defense of prey animals. Their secondary defense is fight. Fighting is engaged when threatened and they cannot get away from danger. They are intelligent and capable of thinking. However, they cannot reason. They are visual thinkers, unlike humans that are abstract thinkers that use words in thinking about problem-solving situations. They have highly developed memories, second only to elephants. From experience, they know what will or will not harm them. When they confront something different, their first response is concern, one step away from bolting. Stock animals cannot concentrate for long periods or think about two things at once. Therefore, they lose their train of thought and require constant positive reinforcement. They learn to trust humans if earned. Negative experiences with humans are equated with danger and result in concern. They can sense human moods and actions around them, and their behavior is consistent with human deportment. Note the handlers calming the horse. They respond to their handler's confidence and ease. Working around them without self-confidence induces concern. Their sense of touch can also perceive a handler's nervousness and alerts them to avoid painful situations. Their concern is consistent with the handler's body contact. Their reflexes are much faster than those of humans. Their startle reflex is a natural reaction that rapidly moves them away from a perceived danger. They have superb vision, with the largest eye size of all land animals. Their eyes are located on the sides of their face, and each eye moves independently, allowing them to look in two different directions at once. They must raise their head to focus on objects above them, and lower their head to see objects on the ground. Their sight is limited for objects behind them, and they must constantly turn their head or body to achieve focused peripheral binocular vision. They have blind spots in their binocular vision that limits their vision directly in front of their nose and beneath their head. They can only see objects closer than 4 feet in front of their nose with monocular vision. Because of their visual distinctiveness, anything that appears suddenly, moves rapidly towards them, or is unfamiliar to them will engage their survival instincts and result in concern. They have excellent night vision. However, their transition from light to darkness is slow. Their eyes adjust more slowly to light changes than human eyes. Moving rapidly from sunlight into darkness can result in concern for horses and mules. They see colors in a much smaller color range than human sight. Sharp differences in reflecting surfaces can result in concern for horses and mules. When they are confronted with fast or abrupt movements, their reaction, like all prey animals, is concern. Their ears indicate where they are looking. They can rotate their ears 180 degrees, allowing them to center their attention with one ear and one eye on an object, while the other ear and eye is focused in another direction. They become alert when they hear strange sounds. Unexpected high-pitched sounds alert the brain to distress calls. They are curious by nature and explore to determine what is useful and what is a concern. They are herd animals and survived by staying with their group. If one horse or mule becomes startled, their herd mates will also become concerned. Once alarmed enough to run, the other herd mates will also want to run. All horses and mules have personalities just like all humans. Stockmen must know the personalities of their trail stock and handle each individual according to their particular apprehensions. Horses and mules have a wide range of responses when they become concerned. The more conditioned they are to uncomfortable situations, the more likely their reaction can be controlled by their attendant. Experienced stockmen can hold a well-trained animal in check under most circumstances, although there is a point where a stimulus becomes so great that even the best training will not override an animal's flight or fight instinct. Some can be concerned about fast and abrupt movements, especially around their head or hindquarters. Some will be concerned about unfamiliar objects. Some will become concerned about anything that moves rapidly toward them. Some will become concerned about anything that moves behind them or follows them. They can become concerned about any kind of surprise, strange sights, sounds, smells, or contacts. The natural fears of horses and mules are inborn survival of the species' instincts. They were prey animals, and their evolutionary instincts were developed for defense against predatory animals. Conditioning can reduce their apprehension to fearful situations, and an experienced stockman can confront nervous circumstances. However, even the best conditioning and positive assurance by the handler sometimes cannot override fearful stimuli. They respond to human demeanor such as fear, nervousness, anger, and impatience. They are creatures of habit and comfortable in their familiar surroundings. Some do not like patted on the head. Some have sensitive spots they do not like touched. Some do not like to be looked directly in the eye. Predators lock eyes with their prey when they approach. Some do not even like other horses or mules. Some will strike with their front feet. Some will kick with their hind feet. Mules in particular are adept at kicking forward with their hind feet, called a cow kick. Horses or mules can kick backwards 6 feet without moving their front feet. Some will bite, a secondary defense reaction. Biting is also employed to establish dominance. Some have annoying bad habits such as pawing and chewing on ropes. Some will try your patience, often making a game of it. Even the best trained horse or mule can have apprehensions that must be dealt with. Sometimes even the best trained horse or mule will have a wild streak. Stockman must always pay special attention to workers around his trail stock. Communication is the key to safety when working around them. The stockman knows the characteristics, fears, and traits of their riding and pack stock, and must not put workers in a compromising situation. It is the responsibility of the stockman to communicate this knowledge to the recruits that are working around their trail stock. Informed personnel and volunteers can avoid accidents and injuries if they are instructed on proper stock handling techniques. The stockman must instruct the workforce on proper precautions for safely working around their trail stock before the workday commences. Then they must maintain control and authority over the workforce during the workday. The workforce must wear appropriate clothing and footgear when working around trail stock. Wearing tennis shoes around trail stock is not appropriate. Wearing thongs around trail stock is definitely not appropriate footgear. When approaching trail stock, always pay close attention to their movement and disposition, an indication of their concern. If they show any signs of concern, immediately relax your posture and stand at ease. Always speak calmly to the trail stock when approaching them from any direction. Monitor the trail stock's reaction to your presence while working in close proximity to them. When walking up to an animal, approach the left shoulder. The left shoulder is a safe zone. Talk calmly as you advance towards them. Talking reassures them that you are not a threat. Continue to talk to them while you are working around them. To catch an animal, slowly place a hand on the neck just before the left shoulder, before reaching for the lead rope or halter. Never grab for their head. If it is necessary to catch loose stock, never chase them under any circumstances. Some trail stock will shy away from people working around their face. Some mules do not like their ears touched. When working around an animal's head, keep your head back from its face. While untying or tying up stock, stay away from a position directly in front of the animal. If you stand in front of an animal, you are in a danger zone. Do not pass under the stock's head and neck or the lead rope if you must move to the other side of the animal. You're placing yourself in a compromising position in a danger zone. When walking to the opposite side of an animal, talk to them while placing your hand high on the hip. Pass directly behind them, maintaining physical contact at all times. Remember that you are in a danger zone. Stay alert and keep close to the animal while in this danger zone. Walking in danger zones can result in accidents. When working around trail stock, Do not get in a position between two animals. You are in a danger zone with no route for escape. Stay clear of lead ropes between two pack animals and never, under any circumstances, step over the rope between them. When leading trail stock, always use the lead rope and never try to lead or control trail stock by hanging onto the halter. Also, carry the loose end of the lead rope in folds. Never wrap a lead rope around your hand. This can result in an injury to your hand or worse if the animal pulls away from you. Never allow the trailing end of the lead rope to become tangled around your body. When leading an animal, wear gloves. When leading an animal, stand at the side of the animal and control the loose end of the lead rope. Remember that you are in a danger zone when standing in front of an animal. When tying up trail stock, always tie a quick release knot and tie up to a solid object. A lead rope can be swiftly released with a quick release knot in case of an emergency. Never put your fingers or hand through a loop in a lead rope when untying or tying up an animal. Tie loaded pack stock away from other horses and mules when loading the remaining animals, and it is not a good practice to tie up riding stock with their bridle reins. Tie only unloaded trail stock on a high line. It is not a good practice to tie tacked up pack stock or riding stock on a high line. It is the stockman's responsibility to make sure that their stock is tied properly, and he is responsible for the practice of safe procedures when loading and unloading pack stock. It is not a good practice to have the pack stock tied up when loading or unloading their cargo. Have a handler hold the pack stock when they are being loaded or unloaded. The stock handler should stand on the opposite side of the stock loader. Do not stand in front of an animal. Remember to stay out of the danger zones. Be careful around stock that are eating. Some are very territorial. They may become aggressive and display dominating behavior towards other stock and humans, which can result in injury to those that are close. As experienced horsemen, we often become apathetic towards our stock because of our familiarity with them. However, it is the stockman's responsibility to be mindful of the fact that many of the people working around their stock are not familiar with riding and pack stock. A saying in stock packing is, "It is not will an accident happen, but rather when will it happen." A stockman must anticipate situations that may result in accidents that may cause injury to not only the workforce but also their trail stock and correct the circumstances immediately. It is the responsibility of the stockman to instruct personnel on the safety precautions to be employed while working around their trail stock. Many points in this discussion are very basic for most stockmen. However, they are critical for the safety of novices working around trail stock. These guidelines can be modified to suit local conditions. However, always remember that communication is the key to safely working around trail stock.